What about MedSync? I know Graves has quite a bit of MedSync at that location too, don't they?
Yeah. Winfield that's one of our babies is MedSync. We have a great group there at Winfield, and our really all of our locations have great people. I think that's a big part of being successful is surrounding yourself with great people. And anyway, we really made a point a few years ago to build up our MedSync program. And so, yeah, I think today we have around 850 or 900 people on our MedSync program. And it's funny, people always ask, well, what percent of your patient population do you have on MedSync? And I don't know that for sure, but I do know that we have 10% of the population of our town on MedSync. And so that's how I kind of always that's how I kind of always gauge it is what percentage of our full population or our whole town do we have on our MedSync program? So
So I think that's kind of like indicative of just a lot of your goals. Don't just look at your patient base. Don't look at the numbers in your system, but compare that against the census and say, okay, where could we be in our community? And that sounds lofty, but that's especially in a small community. That's kind of an obtainable figure that you can really consume that number and look at your footprint in the community and say, okay, how do I move that forward?
absolutely. Yeah, any new patient that we take on nowadays, I mean, that's one of the first things that we try to get them to be a part of because we've seen the value in it. We've seen the value of somebody being on MedSync. There's multiple reasons why, and I won't go into all those, but we just believe that it provides just a more enriched experience for our patients. And so that's part of our welcome process for our new patients is to try to get them, encourage them to be not only on MedSync, but do, the med packaging as well. We do a bunch of that also. We probably have 200 or 250 patients that we do that for on a monthly basis in that one store.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we have a lot more throughout our group, but yeah, it's a big point of emphasis for our pharmacies for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It always seems like just, as far as workflow efficiency, before you even get to adherence metrics and patient care, but that patient's coming back every month. These prescriptions have refills. Why not sync all those medications together, have them come at the same time, get all those medications every month, and then that opens the door to do a lot of other things once you have that appointment-based model. So what opportunities have you found once that patient is coming in on a more rigorous schedule, they're taking their medications, what opportunities have you found there to take advantage of that face-to-face interaction when they do come in?
Absolutely. Well, like I said, there's multiple things. From a pharmacist standpoint, it's just so much easier to see, the clinical picture of a patient if they're all tied together. If they're getting different things at multiple times during the month, it's hard to see, what cholesterol medication they're on currently, what blood pressure medication they're on currently at what dose. But if you're tying them all up at the same time, it's so much easier to catch duplications and, look at cost effectiveness and, just all kinds of things from a pharmacy's perspective. And so I think that is very valuable to the patient. And to the pharmacy. You mentioned, it saves time for patients. We've really hardly ever lost anybody once they get on the program and see how awesome it is. Very rarely do they ever want to get off the program. It doesn't work for everybody. We do have those patients that it just doesn't work out for. But once they start doing it for several months, it really is a great thing for both the pharmacy and the patients. And yeah, you mentioned number one, time. It saves so much time for the pharmacy. And so that has been, exemplified, I guess, during COVID, because our pharmacies have administered over 17,000 COVID vaccines. And there's no way we would have been able to do that without great MedSync processes, because we've had to take technicians out of the workflow to administer immunizations. We've gone to 50 different businesses to do on-site clinics for them. And so we've had to pull people from the workflow to go out and do those. And so without MedSync, there's no way we would be able to do that. And now, kind of a cool program in Kansas is COVID testing. And so I know everybody's doing it nationwide, but in Kansas specifically, our state is funding the program. And so you can actually get rapid testing and saliva PCR testing done, and the state reimburses you for doing those. So no cost to the pharmacy, no cost to the patient. And man, we have seen such an uptick in those. I think in one of our stores in the whole month of July, we did 150. And in the first 10 days of August, we did about 400 COVID tests in just one location. Wow. And so, without MedSync, that doesn't happen. You're in the rat race, the workflow, trying to catch up, trying to catch your tail all the time. And, that enables you, once an opportunity comes along, that enables you to jump on that opportunity and take full advantage of it. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things people don't consider. If you have a patient with just like 5 medications, they have that first touch point where they call to get the medication refill. Then your pharmacy's going through workflow. You have to call that patient to let them know it's ready. And then you have to actually have that face-to-face interaction. If you're doing that for 5 different medications, that's 100 touch points for that patient. It's crazy how quickly it adds up. And so how can you do those other, really, really impactful things like point of care testing?
Absolutely. Well, and I'll put a plug in for Pioneer. Their system has been wonderful as far as putting a program in place. We've tried. And this isn't, one thing doesn't work for everybody. You have to figure out what works for you. If pencil and paper works for you, do pencil and paper. But, we've really tried to take advantage of technology, and Pioneer has a wonderful sync program, and it's enabled us to, create templates to send text messages out to patients instead of having to pick up the phone and call every single month. And it's easy because if they have an issue, if you need to talk to them, they can just respond to that text message, and then it's a quick phone call, and there you go. So having the right software in place to be able to, match what you're doing as far as MedSync goes is very, very important.
Thanks for listening to this clip from Beyond the Scripts, presented by the Catalyst Pharmacy Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please support our channel by liking, subscribing, and clicking the notification bell so that you'll be notified anytime we post new content. To stay up to date with all of the latest independent pharmacy news and content, follow PioneerRx on your preferred social media platform.